Hello everyone, and welcome to Sharpie Tie Dyeing today. We're going to take you through a couple of different ways that you can tie dye with permanent markers and using just rubbing alcohol and a little artistic creativity. So to get started, here's what you'll need. You will need your t-shirt or whatever you want to tie dye. You can do masks, bags, t-shirts, shoes, whatever you want to do. You will need at least 2 different color Sharpies. Here I have pink and then I have a slightly darker purple as well. So that's what I'll be tie-dyeing with today. You will need a dropper of some kind, or if you're doing one of our bigger techniques, which I'll tell you about in a minute, you can use a spoon. If you're doing one of these, you'll also need a tray to put your item on so that you don't get any tie-dye on your surface. You will need your rubbing alcohol. And for the technique I'm going to show you today, you'll also need a cup and a couple of rubber bands. Okay? So, as I said, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can do more of a traditional tie-dye if you'd like, and I have 2 of those set up to show you here. This one is I'm going to fix my rubber band a little bit here. This is a spiral tie-dye. So for this one, you take your shirt and you lay it out so that your arms are like this. Ooh, too high up there. And you find the middle point between your 2 armpits. And then you just grab right here and you start twisting like this, okay? And once you've twisted the whole shirt, it will end up looking like this, and you make basically little pizza slices with your rubber bands. To color this one, you want to take your markers, and you can use whatever colors you like, and you want to color both sides. So you do this whole side, flip it over, and do this whole side. Unlike traditional tie-dye, it won't go through the t-shirt if you just color one side. So you want to make sure that you color both sides. Once you have that done, you take your dropper or your spoon, your rubbing alcohol, and you drip it all over your shirt to let the colors blend. And then when you pull it apart, you'll have your spiral pattern. If you want to do more traditional tie-dye, you can do this setup. This is a similar thing. For this one, you lay your t-shirt out and you're going to make an accordion. So you're just going to pull it up like this so it makes accordion strips like this. And you do the whole t-shirt and then you fold it in half, okay? And when it's done, it ends up looking like this. And as I said before, you want to color both sides of the t-shirt to make sure that it goes through both ways. And once you have it all colored, you take your rubbing alcohol and you drop it or spoon it all over your shirt. And remember, if you're going to do this method, you want to have something that you put it on, a baking sheet, large piece of cardboard, or do it outside so that you don't get any color onto the surface below your t-shirt or whatever it is that you're tie-dyeing. Okay? So we're going to put those over there to the side, and I'm going to show you the more traditional method, or the more unique method, I guess. And for this one, it's very simple. I'm going to do the bottom of the t-shirt. You could do the top of the t-shirt. But you take your shirt, and you make sure you're only using one side at a time, and you take your cup, put it in the shirt, and then you take a rubber band, and you basically rubber band the shirt over the cup like that, okay? And then from there, you take your Sharpie and you color all over your shirt like so. Be careful not to get it on your finger like I just did, because it is permanent marker. So I'm going to do some pizza slices here. And in this case, you want to make sure that you are overlapping your colors a little bit. The more you overlap them, the more blended they'll be once you get them wet with the rubbing alcohol. So you want to make sure that you overlap just a little bit. And again, I'm using 3 colors. We only gave you 2, but if you have other colored markers at home, you can use those. They should be permanent markers. Regular markers in this case won't work, because if they're washable, then you'll just be washing the color out of the shirt. Okay, so I've made my colors there. I'm going to take my dropper and I'm going to drop and blend. So again, we're using rubbing alcohol. You don't need a lot, so we didn't give you much. But you can, if you have some at home, you can of course use more than we gave you. And sometimes you might need a couple more drops than you think. But also the longer you let it sit, the more it'll spread. So you'll see it's blending the colors in together, making a nice circular pattern there. Now when you do this with the cups, I only have one cup here, but sometimes it's a good idea to use multiple cups, so you do multiple parts of the t-shirt at one time. Once I take this off and move the cup to a different position, there is a chance that the color will get on the back of the shirt as well. So if you only want to do one side, it's better to use multiple cups with multiple rubber bands. But that's really up to you. You can be as creative as you'd like to be. What I'm actually going to do is just reposition my cup a little bit and do some overlapping circles. And this is how, like, if you want to take your whole shirt and make like a band across the bottom, you're going to want to overlap your cup like this. So you'll leave a little bit of the color that you already did. Put your rubber band back on. And in this case, I'm going to do stripes, like so. Once again, use my dropper and just do a little bit of spreading. And like I said, you don't need much. You let it sit for a minute, you can see that it's running through the shirt and blending the colors. As I said, it takes a little bit of time for it to work its way through the shirt and blend the colors completely. If there's a spot you think it's not going, you can use a little bit more and just add a drop or two. You don't need much, and you always want to be careful that you're not spilling your alcohol on anything, because it is rubbing alcohol, so it will take the paint off things, and it will it might damage your clothes if you get it on your clothes, so always be careful. The other thing you can do if you want to continue in this route with the cup is pull this off, take your cup out, and put some paper towels or a piece of cardboard in between the sides of the shirt so that you don't get the color bleed that I was talking about before. But there you go, you can kind of see my pattern there. You can do separate circles as well, whatever you guys want to do. I did not start with a pattern in my head, so hopefully you guys started off a little bit better than I did with a plan. I just wanted to show you guys how it worked. But you've seen I've done a lot of different patterns, a lot of different methods of coloring. You can write words, you can draw hearts or stars or whatever you want to do. So this is my last one I'll show you. And then your final step, once your shirt has dried, is, I've read some things online that say you should iron it so that the color sets. It's really up to you. I would be careful washing it. Don't put it in the washing machine with other articles of clothing, because the color could come off on your other clothes, so be sure to hand wash to start. And then beyond that, it is a typical tie-dye shirt, so just be careful with it around other clothing items for a while. As I said, I did see online that if you iron the shirt after it's dry, that helps to set the color into the t-shirt, but it's totally up to you guys. So let me take this off. You can see my finished product here. It's not great. Hopefully you guys have a better style than I do, but there you go, you get your tie-dye. So I hope you guys have fun. If you have any questions, as always, send them my way. And as always, I would love to see pictures of the finished product. Have fun and happy crafting.